I want to preface this by saying this is not an attack on anybody. It's not an attack on any individuals. Let me get the book review banner up first.
Tony, I have a question. Does the book have LED lights around it?
The book does not have LED lights. It's pretty. It's not even color. The cover or the back cover. It's got like a blue. Like a blue, almost weird. It's a weird blue. It's hard to describe, but it's.
But the pictures inside of it are colored, aren't they?
The pictures inside are, some of them are color. Some of them are pictures, and some are like taken from the internet. So some of them are not colored, just because the picture didn't have color to begin with. But I have several pages marked because there are specific things I want to talk about that's in the book. But before we get into the review, I will repeat, this is not an attack on any individuals. I'm not here to try to shame or put down anybody. I'm not here to put down the author of the book or anybody who likes the book or anybody who bought the book. Obviously, I bought the book, then again, I buy everything Amico related so I could have a nice big eBay lot in the future. But the book it's got 41 labeled pages. So there's 41 labeled, except for you have at least 4 pages that are blank, which is weird. But I mean, I have a whole book that's blank, so. I mean,
You ruined the surprise.
I've said it many, many times.
Oh.
All right, so it is called Together Again, The Return of Intellivision. One of the greatest video game consoles is about to make its comeback. I guess that's the subtitle. It's not clear because that's on the cover, so I don't know. Cyrus Martin is the author of the book. There is no synopsis on the back cover. Instead, you have a mix of old and new art. You got the biplanes, new Amico art, and then you got bowling, television bowling, and I think this is Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the box art from
is it the? It's the old or is it the new stuff? Are you talking about it's box art, like photos? Okay.
So it's got like the guy bowling, which is the original Intellivision. I think this is the original Cloudy Mountain, maybe box art, or
the D&D would be the red.
Well, it's all in blue. That's why I'm saying everything's blue.
Oh, okay.
And I don't recognize it because I'm not really familiar with Intellivision like that. But it has like a knight fighting a 3-headed dragon thing.
I believe that. I believe that's probably the D&D
Dungeons and Dragons,
which is what the Cloudy Mountain is now. So that makes sense.
Okay, so right off the bat, the author of this book abuses the ellipses. I'm going to take away his ellipses privilege. Way too many, inappropriately used. Ellipses is supposed to. If you have a quote, you put it to mark that you've, omitted certain things from a quote. You use it if someone's trailing off, like their thought. You started talking, like someone's mumbling, and then they kind of trail off. So you just ... and then you pick back up where they start talking clear again.
I do that all the time. I use that way too much.
I use it a lot too.
The author uses it almost like a comma, like it's not used properly.
Right.
It's just like, unless, he's like, let's see if I can get an example. Here's an example. Okay, it says, to ease the minds of some parents worried about zombified children with rotten brains, ... and to try to bridge the gap between consoles and home computers, ... Mattel introduced several educational games such as Math Fun, Word Fun, Learning Fun, The Jetsons, Way with Words, Melody Blasters, and others. Those two ellipses in there, they were not necessary.
Yeah,
So to
that's
put
weird. I
period-
usually use that if I'm like trying to make a point or something. Like I don't know how to describe it, but that's a
Well,
strange way to use it.
it's like Tony said, it's like a trail off, and I use it like probably more than anybody on this panel. If you read any of my posts, I'm probably constantly putting the dot in there. But yeah, it's not supposed to be used as if it's like a comma, which is sound like how he described that sentence. Yeah, it sounded like he'd have been better off restructuring that sentence, but that's not a big. That's not a big. Yeah, it's not a big issue to me though. Let's get to the meat and potatoes.
It's not a big issue if it's like once, but this is throughout the entire book.
Yeah, I guess it'd be different if you had it in front of you to see it. That might be kind of something that would take you out of reading it. If it's constantly seeing something like that, it might be distracting.
Yeah.
And that kind of punctuation, I think, if you had somebody like proofread and go through your stuff, they would have told you to use a lot less of that anyways. That shouldn't really be a thing that should be throughout the entire thing. Yeah.
Maybe the book was proofread by the same guy who does the proofreading for the Intellivision team.
So the second sentence in the book really sets up everything, because it says, "I am not an expert on history, nor am I a gaming industry veteran," which is clear if you have any knowledge of pre-NES gaming, any knowledge of the history of video games. The book is factually inaccurate in many, many places.
Really?
Well,
Atomic Age Gamer says ellipses are more common in internet lingo if you are mimicking an informal conversation. Then again, what do I know?
Yeah.
No, that's accurate. He's right.
Yeah, and that's where I mainly use is
Yeah, and the internet
comment sections.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, internet lingo, like putting "UR" for "your" is fine when you're on a message board or in a comment section or something.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't put that in a book. Like you wouldn't publish that for people to read. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's
No,
kind of
that's
a waste, for the reader.
It's unprofessional.
Yeah.
Does the book have a lot of smileys in it also?
no, it doesn't.
Laughing emojis.
Yeah, there are. What is this? 7 chapters, a forward, and a prologue that's at the end. I didn't
Be an
make a mistake there.
epilogue at the end, right? Is it epilogue at the end, or
Yes,
Yeah.
epilogue is what goes at the end. But this book has a prologue.
And the prologue is at the beginning.
right?
You guys, you just don't get it. Intellivision is innovating. They do everything the opposite of what it's supposed to be. So it does fall. It makes sense. Whatever is correct, they do the opposite. So this book follows the trend.
Game changers.
Yeah, there are a few pages that are just pictures. Like there's no words on that page. Not that that's a big deal. It's just.
I like those kind of books with more pictures.
The table of contents has the chapters, but not the pages. So, like, if you wanted to go to chapter 3, right? It says chapter 3, a legacy of first. There's no page number. I don't know what page chapter 3 starts at.
Huh.
So the table of contents is kind of useless in that regard.
Yeah, that's strange. There's no page numbers, you said?
Right. It literally just says table of contents. Then it'll say forward, something old, something new. Chapter 1, intelligent television. Chapter 2, the best of times. No page numbers.
Huh. Interesting choice.
So yeah. So like I said, there's I mean, maybe I'm nitpicking here, but
Yeah, we're nitpicking. Sorry, Cyrus.
I don't think that's a nitpick.
You might as well get them all. You're starting small. You're starting small and saving the other stuff for the end.
But I don't think that's a nitpick so much as like
it's a weird choice to not have page numbers, definitely. And the prologue at the end is definitely weird.
I mean, not a nitpick if you want to skim through it. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of useful to the reader.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be tough.
Yeah. Okay. So then, like I said, there's a lot of inaccuracies in the book. A lot of blending of time frames. Yeah, Atomic Age Gamer says, "Is there seriously a prologue at the end?" I'm etymology dork, so that blows my mind a little. Yeah, it is. There is a
Yeah, that's weird.
prologue at the end. But like, okay, so the book doesn't have a focus. It's not like a memoirs of Cyrus's life, or moments where he played in television mixed in with things. It's sort of a mixed bag. Like, he talks a little bit about his past, but not in detail. He talks about the old Intellivision, some of the new stuff at the end. But like I said, there is inaccuracies. He talks about how Intellivision, coming out somehow helped the industry. Like, if it wasn't for Intellivision, basically, the industry would have not be where we're at. Except when Intellivision debuted, when it came out, it came out in 1979 with the master component, but the actual Intellivision itself was 1981. By 1981, Atari had already sold like 2 million units. By the end of 1981, I think they sold 3 million. So before Intellivision's first year, Atari had sold already more than what Intellivision would sell over its lifetime.
Atari was also mass producing consoles, I believe, to the point what was what got them big and deep.
No, they produced. Well, I think what was it? They either made more. What was it, Pac-Mans, than they had consoles that had produced, or one way or the other. Yeah, there was something like that.
That's what it was. I think it was. Yeah, it was the production of Pac-Man that kind of killed them. They figured there were more productions than there was systems. Yeah,
it was system seller, they thought, but it freaking killed it. That and E.T.
Jesus, oh my god.
Okay,
you know what? I loved E.T. as a kid. I don't know why. I can look back. I can see the problems of it now, like looking back. But as a kid, I actually adored that game. I thought it was fun.
I loved it too. Days I used to play all the time, but it was garbage. Even back then,
it was garbage. I don't know. I mean, it was one that I probably played the biggest than the other ones, but
the biggest problem with it that most people say was that it was misunderstood. It was ahead of its time, just for the fact that you can go off screen and there's like this exploring system that people just didn't grasp back then.
Yeah, and once you figured it out, it was decent. But yeah, at the beginning you're lost if you don't know what you're doing. You have to have the instruction manual.
It's one of the games that I'd say doesn't hold up well to today. I mean, there's a bunch of games that you could basically say that a lot of those games don't hold up well today. I'd argue that and say there are great games out there. Especially on the Intellivision that were, regardless of whether they're a 10, 15 minute play, they were absolutely great games to play. And I think they're still good today. But yeah, E.T. doesn't hold up very well.
All right. So we're going to bring this back around.
Wasn't it Rush too?
Sorry.
To the book.
That's
no, that's okay. So the first point of contention for me in the book is Cyrus says that the Intellivision launched with a lot of educational games, and this helped propel the system. It was educational focused. However, the reality of the situation is Intellivision had 2 games for the Intellivision itself that were educational, Math Fun and Word Fun, the Electric Company games. The other games he mentions, Melody Blaster, which is a music game that didn't come out until 1983. Jetsons Way with Words also did not come out until 1983. So those were 2 years after the system launched. So 2 years after it launched is how people thought of it as an educational gaming system.
Yeah, and I personally have Jetsons Ways with Words, or Way with Words. It's the worst fucking title ever on a game, but you actually needed the keyboard. I can't remember what they call the adapter, but you had this big, huge, clunky adapter that went into it.
Computer system.
Yeah.
The ECS.
Yes, and then that had a keyboard that plugged into that, and it was ungodly nightmare bulk of a thing. And I always liked plugging it in because obviously it was, to be honest, Jetsons is probably the most, I would say, like how do I say it? Like graphically intense and like. It's one of the biggest games that you can like. You look at it, you immediately know it's like, oh, it's got like a Jetsons look to it, and I think they'd even had like a little Jetsons theme at the beginning, if I'm not, if I'm correct, but I'd say it was like it was somewhat impressive, but it was a word game, so you had to have this thing all kind of set up. But yeah, that had come later. I don't initially think that was something that shipped that was right out of the gate, and that made Intellivision kind of a had to have
2 years later. And the other game that he mentions, Learning Fun, didn't ship until 1987, which is 6 years.
Ooh, yeah.
After, so 2 games that were educational came with the were shipped with the system. Meanwhile, Atari already had 4 educational games by 1981. So the idea that Intellivision was somehow more educational or education focused versus Atari is 100% not
inaccurate.
true.
And I think by like 86, wasn't it on a downward spiral?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, it was done. Nintendo had a stronghold by then.
Then there's the chapter on the legacy of First, where it talks about Intellivision being the first 16-bit console, which I think is debatable.
Yeah, very debatable.
Debatable on the fact that debatable that it's 16-bit, or debatable that it was the first one.
That it's 16-bit.
Okay.
I think there's like a technicality or something that technically
it's not 16-bit in the way that we talk about 16-bit and what we think about when we talk about stuff like Super Nintendo and stuff. So
it's like the Jaguar claiming that they were 64-bit, but they, because it was some weird way they could make it like that.
Right. The controller, he talks about the disc being better than a joystick. It's not true, even though because the disc, 64 directions, a joystick can go in 64 directions. It's not about the range of movement. It's about the game being programmed to understand said range of movement. The game only takes 8 points of input, then it doesn't matter what the stick moves.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of games that really honed in on that controller, and none really come to mind.
No.
Right. And like I said before, I think I said this last week, but the Nintendo 64 actually has omnidirectional on their thumbstick, and it inputs every single point on the 360-degree radius.
Really?
So, there you go. I think I think for credit, I think maybe Dracula did. I'm trying to understand if it had, because it's been so long since I've played mine, that if it had like nice precise movements in Dracula, it most likely didn't. But yeah, there's not much to really say. Like it was. I mean, it was different for the time. It was obviously, you had your pad and you had Atari, and I think that's why I gravitated towards my Intellivision so much as a kid. My buddy had an Atari, and I just hated the fact that Atari, I couldn't understand why anybody would want to just play with that stick and a button. To me, it was just foreign. So that's why I liked the Intellivision controller so much, but I'm in a very small group of people that enjoyed that controller.
Yeah. It talks about the IntelliVoice adding sound in games. But if anybody is a gaming historian or looks into it, Intellivision did not have the first game with sound. There was some obscure arcade cabinets that already had sound, voice.
But it was among the first, and it was definitely unique. Yeah, they didn't have much, and they weren't the first to the market with it. But
but this is called a legacy of first, Gary.
It's
not called the legacy of sport of first.
Well, to be fair, it could have been the first in home. Maybe not maybe not the first, but maybe the first in home, in console to have it.
Well, I'll give them that. That's not the claim being made. That's the problem. And then he goes on to talk about the sports license, and this is a quote from the book. If you are a fan of licensed sports games, remember that Intellivision is responsible for making them a reality. While Intellivision did have the first licensed sports game, the idea that would not eventually happen had Intellivision not did it is very asinine.
Yeah, that's ludicrous.
It was inevitable we'd eventually get a sports license game.
Yeah.
I mean, they were first. Credit where credit's due, but it wasn't like it was such a wacky and off-the-wall idea that no one else would have came up with the idea of contacting a sports organization and getting the license on the game.
Well, I mean, that's ludicrous. And to that point, there was already I'm pretty sure there were handheld baseball devices, right? Isn't there like an old baseball handheld, almost like a Tiger Electronics?
Or not Mattel, yeah.
Was it? Maybe it was Mattel, but they've had there were things out before then, so it was only time before sports came to video games in the form of home consoles and stuff. So
yeah, then we got a chapter called "Sharing the Love," which goes on to talk about the various compilation cards, the Evercade, the Intellivision Live stuff. One of the lines here that I thought was funny was it says, "These collections are made possible through a technology called quote-unquote emulation, which means that the software is programmed so that it simulates a recreated experience for the games." He used quotes on emulation, which would be incorrect. I mean, unless he doesn't think emulation is real. That's why he's like quote-unquote emulation.
And what's weird is that clearly in this sentence that you can tell who his audience is for this book, because I understand how he was using emulation, but you're speaking, if you want a younger audience to buy your book, I'm pretty sure they generally know what emulation is.
He's spelling it out for the boomers.
The proper way to have done this would be to put these collections are made possible through a technology called emulation, period. Emulation is software that is programmed so that it simulates a recreated experience for the games. You would turn that into two sentences. The first one using the word, the second one explaining what the word is that you think the audience might not be familiar with. In lieu of using a comma, explanation, comma, end of thought.
That's it.
I'm not an English teacher, but I have taught a few English classes in my day, and so yeah. He goes on. He talks about the Intellivision flashbacks, and he quotes the unverified number of, I think, 1 million units sold or something. Yeah, it was sold at multiple retailers and can now be found through online resellers or auctions. No, I'm mistaken. He doesn't quote the number. He doesn't talk about the other plug and plays, though he has a picture of the other Intellivision plug and plays that are the controller. All right. So then he talks about the Dream Team. And he talks about the Blue Sky Rangers a bit. Keith Robinson. He lists a bunch of individuals. I'll go through the list here. Gabriel Baum, Don Daglow, Rick Levine, Mike Minkoff, and John Soule, and gives us no indication as to who these individuals are.
Yeah, I have no idea who those people are.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. The author doesn't tell us who they are or what contributions they've done, other than saying, hey, these guys were part of Intellivision, and here's their names.
Is this the first book that he's done, or has he ever written any other books, Cyrus?
Well, he wrote a movie and he filmed it, and I think he's
Really?
written for websites because we went over that in a video once. I don't know if he's written any books, but yeah. So then on page 28, we finally get to enter the Amico. He doesn't include all the goings on with the Amico, obviously. Sort of glosses over a lot of things. He tells us how great Kami is.
Of course.
Then he talks about the team needed to bring the Amico to life. And again, this is where the author fails. I will quote from the book here. John Alvarado would join as chief technology officer. His background in game development extended from the days of 8-bit processors and included some of the most innovative titles ever made. He does not tell us what the titles are that John Alvarado has worked on or that were the most innovative. If the intention here is to talk about them and give information to who these people are and why they're important and why having them on the team is a good move, he doesn't go into any detail as to who these people are. If you don't have any familiarity with their background, you'll have no extra additional familiarity after reading the book. Like he talks about joining him, Mike Dietz took up the mantle of art director. His visionary contributions to the gaming world are rooted in some of the most beloved game titles and entertainment experiences ever attempted. Doesn't list them. I have no idea what games he's referring to.
Source, trust me, bro.
Yeah. Brilliant and industrious professionals like Nick Richards, Rob Johnson, Phil Adam, Hans Ippish, Jason Enos, Chuck Labella, Bill Fisher, Sumit Agarwal, and a host of other top-tier talent would all band together. Ellipses. Pooling all their capabilities and skills, ellipses, to help build Intellivision into a place where good things could happen, ellipses. A gaming company focused on better ideas, ellipses, better intentions, ellipses, and a return to a respect for the true needs of regular families seeking entertainment and inspiration. Again, no idea why I should care who these people are, right? Like, who are they? What did they do? Why is it important? You should really expand as to who these people are and why these people are important and why it is a good thing that they're part of Intellivision. So now we're in page 32, which is chapters. Here's another thing that's funny. Okay, so on the table of contents, we have chapters, right? But when we get to the book itself, like it says about Amico, but it doesn't say chapter 7 about Amico. It just says about Amico. Again, I guess it's a nitpick, but it's it's helpful for the reader to know where they're at and what they're looking at. So we get to about Amico, and again, he talks about how the controller is very innovative, except as we've gone over many times, having a screen on the controller, not innovative. Having haptic feedback, not innovative. Having a microphone, not innovative. Having a speaker, not innovative. Having lights on the controller, not innovative.
Tony, it is, if you believe it is.
Motion controls, not innovative. I mean, he even mentions that motion control is similar to the Wii, but there's nothing in there that's innovative. A spinner, it's not even a spinner. It's a 64 direction dial, sensitive disc. But we know that it doesn't operate as a spinner. And 64 directions is a lot less than 360 degrees, as dual analog sticks can give you. Again, it is about games being programmed to understand the input versus actually being able to move in that direction. Because you can move your analog stick in any direction. But if the game doesn't have a register for it, then it's not going to pick it up, obviously, right?
Right.
The game can only move.
Tony, you glossed over 2 innovative features. First one is what other controller requires you to smack it to get it to sync up. That's one. 2, what other controller makes you think before you put the input, because there's the amount of input lag, so you have to, it's like a handicap, or it's the karma engine. That's the karma engine, where you have to like challenge yourself by guessing where it will go, whatever 10 frames in advance. That's innovation, man. No other controller does that.
That's like it's like reverse haptic feedback. The controller needs to know that you're there too.
He doesn't talk about any of the actual games, as far as the content of the games, but he does mention the RFID cards, and he calls that innovative because now you'll be able to sell your digital copies. Days dropping back in.
Whoopsies.
So here's the thing that I don't think people understand. Computer games have licenses. You enter the license code and you play the game. Then you can unlicense your game, sell it online, or sell it at a store. Someone else puts the code in and they can play it. So being able to trade games with a license is not innovative. I know there's some digital games that are tied to that. I have a game. It's called Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. I got the 2020 version and the 2014 or 2012 version. Either way, basically it comes with a license. It's all digital. I download it. I get a license. I put the license in. I can then unlicense it, sell it to someone else, give them the license, and they can upload it to their computer and play the game. So it's not an innovative feature. It's not something that's widely used. Obviously, game companies want to make money, so they don't want you selling your digital games, but it's not innovative or unique to the Intellivision. But I think the book can be best summed up in these last 2 sentences here. And I quote from the book: Amico is the Italian word for friend. And I think that says it all.
Is that like that really how it ends?
No, there's a thank you after that. The last line is thank you. But even in this, you would think there'd be no errors in this. Okay. So he says, Amico is the Italian word for friend. He put friend in quotes.
Well, that's fitting.
Friend, this is your friend.
Right. So that's incorrect. Secondly, he put the period after the quotation.
No, that goes inside.
Oh, inside.
Yeah.
Third,
nitpick, but yeah.
Third, the word friend is capitalized for some reason.
Huh.
Oh.
Fourth, the word the is capitalized. The Italian, the is capitalized.
Tisk, Cyrus.
Fifth.
There's an ellipses before, and I think that says it all. So, I would not recommend this book. I would recommend it if you want a keepsake of the Amico saga. This book and my book, obviously, make good, interesting coffee table books. People might ask you about it, and you could have a discussion about Intellivision. If you're looking for accurate information, this book does not contain it. If you're looking for a delve into the mind of Cyrus, his backstory, his history, funny anecdotes of him playing the Intellivision, they're not in here.
And that's, I'm kind of shocked that I thought that's where he would go with at least the first half of like the book. I think when we first heard about it, that was exactly what I thought it would be. Like, hey, this is like my history with the Intellivision, and then kind of like what I'm looking forward to, and then bullet points on why you should probably buy it. But the fact that he kind of left all of that out when on his initial pitch for selling the book on his channel, it's kind of how it came across. He was going to delve into that side of it, which is kind of a bummer, because I think there is room for a good story of why the Intellivision is special to you, other than what it sounds like you're saying is that it's just a pitch to buy the Intellivision, having more material out there to reach more people, I guess.
Well,
I would have.
he does talk about his mom buying it and them playing together, but it's like 1 or 2 sentences, not like a whole.
Right, it's short-lived.
I want to get to this comment. It says, "This is reaching back pretty far, but how did that custom 2D chip make it into any of the presentations? It didn't. I think after Portland, that was it."
Yeah, and I was ridiculed by Tommy back on last year on Essex's channel when I pointed it out, and the wording that I always used was kind of incorrect, but people do remember that it was supposed to be, and I said that it was supposed to be better than the way I would always say it was that it was supposed to blow PlayStation, and it was supposed to blow the new consoles, 2D graphic games away. And I might have been wrong in saying that, but Tommy did say that it was supposed to have a custom 2D chip, and that, obviously that alludes to better looking games and stuff like that. So, but I was always told that I was wrong on that front.
I had not heard that before.
Yeah, Mike Garcia says no. He mentioned it also in live streams at the Portland Retro Game Expo 2018 for Days Gaming. Tommy made a presentation about the Amico, and he said either during the presentation or afterward, when they were asking questions, that it would have a custom 2D chip that would be able to make 2D graphics better than the PlayStation 4, which was the only one. The PlayStation 5 wasn't even out yet. So he was basically saying that he would have a custom 2D chip, never materialized. There was no custom 2D chip. He's not getting better than PS4 is not happening. This book, it's not even like a reason to buy an Amico, which is weird because he's not really selling it. It's more like just listing off things and using $5 words to try to make it sound big.
Tony, I have a question. Does he feature the 10 Commandments?
No, 10 Commandments are not in here. Like I said, there's a page that is just the controller specs, and the only word written by Cyrus is the controller also includes a built-in battery that can be recharged. It's the next page. Like he actually put half a sentence on one page and the rest of the sentence on the next page.
Wow.
So what do you think the point of this book is, Tony?
I don't know. I think to make a quick buck. I think he thought the Amico would be out and people would buy a book about it, about Intellivision coming back.
To be fair, again, let's remind everybody that this was, the profits and proceeds were going to charity, animal kill shelter, saving dogs and stuff like that. So I don't want us to get caught up and get accused of being jerks, but I just want to put that out there.
Oh, it's too late for that. We're accused of being jerks. When I said that I was going to review the book, when I made my little shorts, YouTube shorts, saying that I got the book and everything, I was already accused of showing my true colors.
Even though we supported and bought the book,
should be reviewed honestly. I got no animosity towards Cyrus. Like I said, I could improve this tenfold. If Cyrus wants to talk, he knows how to hit me up. I could help him improve this book and make it a lot better.
By leaving all the pages blank.
No, not even by leaving. Like actually writing the book, because, like I said, there are not a lot of personal anecdotes. There's not a lot of why he liked it, why he enjoyed it. Personal stories. There's not even like, one day, I remember getting a new game and I ran home from school and me and my brother were playing it all night and my mom was making turkey and nothing. It's just like, I liked it. I played with my family. My mom bought it. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have focused more on the heart-to-heart experiences. I think that would have served him better.
He doesn't talk about Boston. He doesn't talk about Amico Fest. You would think that would be in there, right? It's not in there. Like I said, he talks about the people who are signed on to Intellivision without giving us any information as to who they are. Like anyone reading this book and like, well, who's Hans Ippish? Like I don't like he has the pictures of them, but they're not even labeled. So like I wouldn't even know if I didn't know who was who. I would be like, who are these people? And because the order of the pictures do not match the order of the names mentioned,
Oh wow.
so you might think that Hans Ippish is actually Sumet and Tommy Tallarico's picture is fifth. And the fifth name he mentions is what? Let's see, we got John, Mike, Steve, Nick, Rob. So Rob Johnson is the fifth name I'm seeing here. And the fifth picture would be Tommy Tallarico's picture in the book.
Maybe this was done strategically.
Again, I'm not trying. I'm trying to help. I'm critiquing. So as maybe the second printing might be better.
Yeah, it needs a revision. In my opinion.
Yeah, I would be much more interested in hearing about Cyrus Martin himself. I mean, knowing like that his involvement with the Amico, like knowing like what has drawn him into, why does he love Intellivision so much? Like tell us some things. I mean, I don't know. That's how I would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need something more compelling.
Yeah. To me, the book feels more like and I'm not trying to be mean, but it feels like a sixth grader's persuasive essay trying to hit a word limit.
Oof.
Oh God.
It was mean.
Yeah.
Was it mean?
I'm not trying to be mean, but
I wasn't trying to be mean.
Nah, if that's what you think, that's your opinion.
You should see some of my cause I'm getting tired of people thinking that all I have ever done is Amico shit. Go to my website, look at my name. All right, I've done other things, and I've been 10 times as mean to other people than I've been to anybody involved in the Amico. All right, if this was anybody else, I would be ripping this to shreds and calling them names. I called the lady a cunt in one of my articles. All right.
Oh my God! Wow.
Tony's a well-rounded asshole.
Right. So when you guys are like Tony's being mean, like just know that
I'm mean to everybody.
I've literally written an article in which I referred to a lady as a cunt. Okay, printed, published, got paid for it. Okay.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
I don't think we're being too hard on it. I mean, it's criticism. It's fair.
So, like I said, there are small things that need to be fixed, like the chapters not having any page numbers, some of the punctuation, clear up the ellipses. I'd give it a once over as far as flow. It's very dry. For being something that's written in a personal, like this is a personal book from Cyrus. It's not like a instruction manual or a technical manual. This is supposed to be like Cyrus's thoughts. It's very dry, like no humor, no jokes, no connection to the audience. I feel no connection to the author because it's not a book. It's not like a novel, and it's not also like a textbook.
You could have shortened it and just made it
more like
an article. It seems like there's not a lot of content in there. No offense.
Oh, there's not. Like I said, there's 41 pages. There's 4 pages are blank. I think 4 pages have full page pictures. A lot of the other pages have pictures that take up, a good chunk of the page. And I'm pretty sure the font is not 8-point. I think it's 12 or 14-point font.
Oh, I used to do that. I used to do that in school to try to make it bigger. Like just try to increase the font a little bit, like the size, a little bit by little bit to get it longer.
I could be wrong, but I mean, there's also a couple misprints, like where it says the page number. And I don't know if it's my book or if that's the way it printed out. When you get to page 33, half of 33 and pages cut off. So it could be a printing error. I might have a rare printing error book.
Ooh.
That's going to be valuable, Tony.
The pictures, here's another, if you're watching this, Cyrus, the pictures could use some captions. Just having a picture of the old controller with no caption, no nothing. Maybe a little information, little trivia or something.
Is there anything you like about the book, Tony?
It came quick. It was delivered in a very expeditious
Well, that's
manner.
not really about the book.
No, I can't say there's nothing I mean, like I said, there's not a lot there. There's nothing to, nothing I wanted was in this book. I didn't get any behind the scenes Amico stuff. Didn't get any behind the scenes into Cyrus's life.
And most of all, there was no mention of TonyTGD in the book.
Right, I didn't get a mention. There's not even the word hater. The hater's not even mentioned in this book.
They don't want to acknowledge us, so that doesn't surprise me.
There's a page of references and links. It's not a link. Let me just say this. It's not a link if it's on paper.
You put a link in the book?
Yeah, it says references and links.
You mean you can't click it?
Oh, man.
No, I can't. I'm trying. I'm touching it. It's not clicking. And it's not like there's a scan. Like, it's got like a barcode reader or something that I could scan. It's just literally like Intellivision, Wikipedia, HT. And right here is another error in the book. Everything is printed in blue on the references and links, except for the Intellivision link. So I think he messed up on the color. I think this was all supposed to be in black in the references, because the chapter titles are in blue, but the actual writing is in black. Except for on this page, it's kind of screwed up. So he didn't proofread. He didn't check his, his copy before he sent it out to be published. But like it has, HTTPS /en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Intellivision.
Did you really knew about that, though?
He wrote that.
So Wikipedia link.
I think I'm going to write a children's book about the Intellivision Amico. Tommy and the cult.
Maybe like a Dr.
Very
Seuss book.
It's very light.
Yeah,
It's very light
exactly.
on actual content.
See Tommy run.
Yeah.
You don't even hear anything about his friendship
after it has failed.
You would think that he would talk about how Tommy is friends with him and they discuss things, and Tommy's great love for Intellivision and how they bonded over the Intellivision and the games they like and whatever.
Yeah.
Something.
That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see. The inside scoop.
Or he could have brought up his drunken rant when he hung out with Tommy.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hear about that.
And how someone had to make a Snickers video about it.
No, but I'm being honest. I'm being 100% here. I mean, at the very least, I would roll my eyes if he was talking about him and Tommy bonding over Intellivision, but that would at least be something.
No, that's juicy. That's something to sink your teeth into.
That's
that sets you apart from any other just random book about Intellivision or whatever.
Very dry. Yeah. Like I said, very dry. It's
come
like
on, Cyrus. You're better than that, dude.
Here's the best criticism I can give you, Cyrus, if you're watching this, or if anybody sends this to you or tells you. The book feels like you're talking at people. You're not talking to them. So
yeah.
And again, I've written things. I've been paid to write things. I have things published. I've had people critique my work, go over my work. I kind of know what I'm talking about sometimes. Not always, but in this field, pretty sure that this would be a bad book.
Cyrus.
But I think that's it. I don't want to. We're kind of getting into the repetition period here. I don't recommend it as a book, as a keepsake, or if you want to donate to charity. Cyrus says you can hit him up for a PDF version, and just donate to charity if you don't want the actual physical book. I will put a link to Cyrus's video in the clip. I don't have a link now, but when I make the clip, there'll be a link to Cyrus's video so you can contact him. I'm not going to put his email out there, even though he put it out there for you to contact him. But if I do it, people like lynch me and burn me at the stake. So I just linked to his video where he does it himself.